Good to have you back, and thank you for staying with Football Planet on Africanews, your Pan-African channel. Coming up, the African Champions League and a weekend full of surprises. With the top teams in difficulty, the small ones without complexities. The first leg of the 16th final round was breathtaking. More details in a few. In the CAF Cup, high suspense for the second leg matches of the last round before the group stage. The first leg was marked by CX Faction's stinking defeat against Sportive FC, at first on the continental stage. And Guinea now has a new coach, its Frenchman Didier Six. A surprise appointment we'll discuss with our Guinean colleague Sega Diallo. Hello again and welcome to Football Planet. Let's begin with these standard clubs all over the continent. First, in the Champions League, with the underperformance of the two-time defending champions, Esperance of Tunis against modest Chadian club Elect Sports. TP Mazembe also retreated to Madagascar, while Horoya AC and Etoile Sportive du Sahel were left with a slap in the face. Here are the complete results. Also know that the teams that will be eliminated from these 16 finals of the Champions League will be returned to the CAF Cup, a CAF Cup whose return leg promises to be stuffy in view of the results of the first leg only. Our Masters Egyptians seem to have nailed the deal with their 4-1 win over Malindi of Zanzibar. Also worth noting is the fine performance of the Algerians of Paradou, who for their first time in the African Cup administered a memorable slap in the face to CS Faction, as you can see on this table. We look forward to seeing you from the 27th to the 29th of September for some very exciting second-leg matches in the Champions League and CAF Cup. Also, keep the return of the UEFA Champions League this week on your calendar. A lot of shock on the agenda on Tuesday and Wednesday. PSG versus Real Madrid, Atletico of Madrid versus Juventus Turin, and an attractive Napoli versus Liverpool. The reigning champions, the Reds, who will start this European season with great confidence, are supported by the African duo Mane Salah, who struck again this weekend. A double for the Senegalese and a goal for the Egyptian, which allowed the English vice-champion to take off at the top of the Premier League with a 5-length lead over Manchester City, beaten on the Northwich pitch by 3-2. But with 4 goals each, Mane and Salah remained behind Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang in the scoring charts. The Gabonese, who scored twice with Arsenal, already has 5, but his 2 goals earned him just 1 point for the Gunners, who were held 2-2 by Watford of Senegal's Ismaïla Sarr. Back on the continent to talk about the Qatar 2022 World Cup. The names of the 40 nations that will make up the group phase of the qualifying rounds are now known. The last qualifiers validated their ticket last week. And the highlight is Djibouti's historic qualification at this level. No worries for the other favourites, as shown in these results. We now await the date of the draw for the group stage, which is yet to be fixed by CAF. As I told you earlier, Didier Six is Guinea's new coach. The former coach of Togo was appointed over the weekend. It's been 4 years since he last coached a team, and that's why his appointment has come as a surprise. Let's see what our Guinean colleague Sega Diallo thinks about this. He joins us from Conakry. Welcome to the program, Sega. So, do you agree with me that the appointment of Six as head of the CL is a surprise?
Yes and no. Yes, because it is not the coach who was expected. It is not the typical profile we would like for this team, because we must still recognize that the Guinean team, even though they did not attain their objective at the AFCON, still has a very important group and potential players. So we would have hoped for a technician of another dimension, not someone whose profile is that weak. Apart from Togo's qualification for the 2013 CAF Africa Cup of Nations, Didier Six's achievements are not well known in Africa. Now, not a surprise, as his name has been around for some time here in Guinea, because he is a former player with the French national team. He played with a certain Jean Amadou Tigana, who is now the advisor to the president of the Guinean Football Federation and who has relations with the said coach. So his name was circulating even before the call for tender was issued. But just by looking at the call for tender, those who were among, the final decision is just questionable to me.
But did he not have the best profile among the candidates?
No, and clearly not, Sambu. Why him? Why him? Because there is a natural selection that has been made by the members of the federation. The National Technical Direction chose 5 names initially. 12 names were added, making it 17. The very recruitment process is that if a candidate does not travel to Conakry, he had very little chances of being selected. So those who did not make the trip to Conakry were eliminated automatically. Then, the 4 people who made the trip to Conakry plus Lape Bangura completed, and out of the 4, Didier Six was selected. So it was in relation to those who made the trip to Conakry that he was selected. Otherwise, names immediately come to mind. Common names like Florent Ibenge, Paulo Duarte, who are technicians of another dimension in relation to Didier Six's career and fame.
He arrives in a rather particular context, alluding to what his predecessor experienced. He's coming in under intense pressure, isn't he?
Yes, clearly he's under pressure. His skills will be challenged quite quickly. He will have to reinvent himself to rebuild a team that is morally and psychologically weakened by the poor results of the AFCON. Because it must be said that this team from Guinea is going through a rather difficult period with series of racketeering and corruption within it. So it is now up to him to have a galvanizing spirit. Will the players who played for the Africa Cup of Nations be attracted by his project and also show up to defend Guinea's colors with a coach like him? So the ball is clearly in his court. We will see quickly how things will turn out. Guinea starts in Mali against the Eagles, and therefore Didier Six will now know what awaits him in the reconstruction of the Guinean national team.
Listening to you means reconstruction will be his biggest project.
It's his biggest challenge and that of the federation. That is to say, we are coming out of a period of turmoil, an almost unknown technician, and we hope that he can, with his knowledge and project, involve the players to get the machine back on track. This is all we can wish Guinea and Didier Six, because otherwise the adventure may turn out short, because the Guinean public are very impatient and the media too will always be on his heels.
Thank you very much, Sega. We hope to have you again to talk about Guinean and African football in general.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sambu.
Sega Diallo is a Guinean journalist speaking to us from Conakry, the capital of Guinea, who experienced a great disappointment in the qualifiers for the AFCON Under-23. After their victory in the first leg, the Sili were knocked down at home by Ivory Coast. The same goes for Ghana, who beat Algeria at home to validate their ticket to the final tournament, scheduled for Egypt in November. Here are the complete results of the matches. And now to the complete list of nations that qualified for the final phase of this AFCON Under-23. Egypt as host country, South Africa, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Ghana, Mali, Nigeria and Zambia. Let me remind you that this African Cup of Under-23s will be played from the 8th to the 22nd of November, and the top 3 will represent the continent at the Tokyo Olympic Games next year. And it starts again for the Shan Cameroon 2020 with the last round of the qualifiers scheduled for Friday. 30 teams and 15 matches for a breathtaking program, particularly in the north and west zones, are shown on these tables. Over the weekend in France, it was Neymar's long-awaited debut in Ligue 1 after the transfer windows. And what a comeback! Conspired by the Parc des Princes, the Brazilian genius liberated the Parisians from a sublime acrobatic volley in extra time against Strasbourg. 1-0 win for PSG, but it was not easy, the Brazilian number 10 said.
It was a little complicated. A little difficult. I have nothing against them. When I arrived, they had a great party for me. I'll keep it in my heart. The most important thing for me was today. Of course, everything that happened today will mark my career, but it can happen. I know that from now on, I'll always play as if I were playing away.
And that's it for the program, which you can find on our website at Africanews.com. Football Planet comes your way next week at the same time on Africa News. Goodbye.